people think the Amish can survive an AI apocalypse very easily, but can they? Can they really? Well, we're going to test that assumption today, but first, how likely is an AI apocalypse in the first place? Well, the answer is extremely likely, actually. We don't really need to achieve the singularity to have an apocalypse here. We don't even need a rogue AI crashing power grids and churning out killer robots by the minute. All we need is a bunch of greedy businessmen replacing all truck drivers with self-driving trucks, then replace customer service agents with chatbots, then replace security guards with automated monitoring systems, replace teachers with AI tutors, replace doctors, office workers, and OF models with, yes, AI. And I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but they're kind of doing this right now. Because you see, my dear viewer, bots do not need a paycheck. They don't need vacation days. They don't need workplace sexual harassment training. And that's the real kicker there. The problem with replacing human labor with bots is that if people can't find a job, we're gonna have an apocalypse on our hands. Because that's exactly what happened the last time we had extreme unemployment. It was in the 1930s, and we called it the Great Depression because 1/3 of the population was unemployed. The high levels of unemployment made people vote for Hitler. Hitler then launched an even bigger apocalypse, World War II. And ironically enough, it was actually the war that ended the Great Depression. Everybody either got a job as a soldier or as a factory worker making weapons and uniforms for the soldiers. Yeah, the economy recovered, but the human cost was horrendous. So many people died that we still struggle to count them all. Estimates put the death count between 70 and 85 million. And all that in a world that only had a quarter of our population. Because if we had a similar war that happened today, we're looking at 300 million deaths on the low end. And that's assuming nobody uses nukes, which is a really big assumption. Once nukes start flying, the only survivors will be the pygmies in the Congo, uncontacted tribes in the Amazon, and perhaps the Amish. So this is not a small problem. People voted for Hitler the moment unemployment hit 35%. Let's assume the AI apocalypse does happen and replaces all jobs. Unemployment rates will be anywhere from 50 to 80%. Imagine what the world would look like, man. Imagine the desperation, the extremism, and the new Hitlers that would rise to power in that broken world. Political extremism is already bad now, when life is still kinda good. Imagine how much worse it'll get when people start going to bed hungry, when they get evicted, when they get their robot girlfriends repossessed because they missed a payment. Are you gonna let the repo man take your girl, or are you starting a war? This is the world we're looking at. An absolute bloodbath. Oh, this is what it's starting to feel like. Maybe it'd help if we could just ban or even regulate AI, you know? But when the AI becomes super enough, then no, we can just suck it, I guess. The average American billionaire is already more powerful than the governments of most smaller countries. Elon Musk literally disconnected Ukraine's internet when they were trying to attack a Russian naval base because he just didn't think it was a good idea. Now imagine AI does become this super unregulated thing. There's a very strong possibility the government just using AI to strengthen its own power. I mean, with AI, the government can remotely turn off cars, electronics, watch you while you're pooping if you had a camera in the bathroom, not to mention the CCTV cameras that we have on every street corner. If you run, the government can always send drones to hunt you down and shoot you with tranquilizer darts or just blow you up. Russia's already doing that in Ukraine. I mean, this might be our future. Businessmen using AI to take our jobs, or the government uses AI to control us, and some guy promises to destroy AI and gains the support of all the jobless and angry people, but the people with the money and AI models decide to protect their stuff, and suddenly we got people shooting at drones, and the drones shoot back. Supply lines disrupted, food runs out, water pipes blown up, and every city block is suddenly controlled by a different warlord. Chaos everywhere as we descend into war and famine. Is the solution to this nightmare scenario to just become Amish? Amish society looks like it was deliberately designed to survive the AI apocalypse, but will it hold up to the pressure? Well, let's start with the pros. The first and biggest pro being Amish is self-reliance. They make almost everything they need themselves. The Amish grow their own food, make their own clothes, and build their own homes. They live in the Midwest, mostly in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. These places get a lot of rain and have a lot of rivers, so water is never an issue. They lead very simple lives. They don't need much from the outside world. In fact, the Amish do everything they can to separate themselves from the outside world as much as humanly possible. This self-reliance and deliberate self-isolation mean the Amish won't be affected by the social collapse of the rest of the world. The second pro of being Amish is that AI will never take your job. The Amish still refuse to use the car. a piece of tech that was invented in 1886. So there's no way on planet Earth that they're adopting ChatGPT. If you're Amish, your job on the farm or in the workshop is safe forever. They also don't rely on things like grid electricity or connected devices. All their technology is analog. You can't spy on them inside their houses with smart fridges and Alexas because they don't have those things. And you can't hack into horses. The Amish employment structure is itself also very different from ours. Most Amish folks either work on the family farm or the family business instead of working for faceless corporations. Your dad is never going to fire you just because shareholders want him to cut costs. There are no shareholders, just family and friends. So AI or no AI, the Amish have their job security locked down tight. The rest of the Amish economy is also safe because first, they don't believe in consumerism, and second, their economy is not based entirely on money like ours. They blend a monetary economy with a lot of just mutual aid. When an Amish family needs to build a house, they don't take a mortgage out on the land to pay a contractor like we do. They just call their friends and family, who are usually their neighbors, and when the neighbors need to build their own house, the family returns the favor, and on it goes. I mean, compare that to us, right? We complain so much about helping our friends carry a couple of boxes that somebody invented the moving industry to shut us up, but the Amish just suck it up and do it. They help their neighbors with everything, they get the same help back. This mutual aid structure doesn't exist in isolation. It's supported by the strongest Amish superpower, community structure. The biggest advantage the Amish have over the rest of us in an apocalypse scenario is in their social bonds. Modernity has created a massive loneliness epidemic because most people leave their already small families to live in tiny apartments in megacities surrounded by absolute strangers. They don't know their neighbors, their family's 300 miles away, they have very few friends, if any. Our social network's very small. The Amish social network, on the other hand, is huge because the Amish have completely rejected modernity. First, they have large families. While most of us come from small families of 1 or 2 kids, the Amish have 6 to 7 on average per family. Then there's the extended family, which most of us simply don't interact with. Those are the uncles, aunts, and cousins, the people we met once at that wedding 5 years ago. For the Amish, uncles, aunts, and cousins are next door neighbors. The Amish never really leave their family. Moving out of your parents' house means building your own house 20 feet away. It's not moving to a city on the other side of the country. Add in friends into the equation, and the average Amish person's social network is just huge. We may have more Facebook friends, but the Amish have more real friends, you know what I mean? The average American has 3 to 5 friends tops, and 1 in 7 have 0. But an average Amish guy has at least 20. Even an Amish loser who isn't that popular would still have something like 10 friends just from their brothers, sisters, cousins, and neighbors. It's ridiculous how overpowered this aspect of their society actually is. The Amish also have a severely beat when it comes to the actual quality of their social relationships. Our relationships never really have a sense of permanence because people are constantly moving in and out of our lives, and we're doing the same thing to them. New school, new job, new apartment, new city, new AI girlfriend, new actual girlfriend, maybe. If you're crazy like that, the constant change makes us invest less time in friendships, which then makes those friendships weaker, and that's just for the people who are lucky enough to have friends. The Amish don't have that problem, okay? If you're Amish, everybody you know and love is going to live right next to you your whole life. You work with them every day, hang out with them after work. All this time that the Amish spend together makes their social relationships incredibly strong. So when the goings get tough, the average Amish person has like 30 to 40 people they can rely on. For the rest of us, it's only our parents, maybe 2 other people. Anyway, we don't prioritize community, unlike the Amish. In fact, the way the Amish choose which technology to adopt and which one to reject depends entirely on whether or not it brings their community closer. Like, it's not like they think cars are evil. They just think cars encourage people to live farther away from each other, and this in turn weakens social bonds. And you know what? I kind of agree with them. So they just reject the car. They stick to walking. If they need to haul something heavy, they just use a horse and buggy. Instead of our temporary alliances, the Amish have structured their entire society around bonds of family and friendship that go back for generations. The Amish strengthen their bonds by living and working with their friends and family their whole lives. I mean, compare that to us. We commute to work surrounded by strangers, work with strangers, return home to an apartment complex inhabited by strangers so we can spend our free time following the lives of strangers on social media. If everything collapses into chaos, who can we count on? If we find ourselves in a life or death scenario, can we really trust that the other guys will not sell us out? If you're Amish, you'd never have to worry about that. If you can trust Jebediah in a life or death scenario because he had 20 years of history with him and his entire family, so being Amish seems to be the OP way to survive an AI apocalypse, but we said there are downsides. There are only two that I know of. The first con is medication. While the Amish reject modernity, modern medicine is one of the few things they use from our world. If society collapses, the Amish are not going to get this medicine. It is terrible, yes, but it's not the end of the world. People have survived centuries without modern medicine. We often hear the statistic about how life expectancy was only 30 years in the olden days, but it's not entirely accurate. The data is skewed by infant mortality. The first 5 years of life are the most dangerous ones because your immune system is still very weak and everything is just out to kill you, really. But once you get to age 5, you can reasonably expect to live into your 60s and beyond without the intervention of modern medicine. You will still die earlier than you could with modern medicine, which sucks, but that's the price you have to pay to escape modernity. So if you become Amish and society collapses, you will die earlier for a lack of medicine. But you will not go extinct. Well, unless the biggest disadvantage of being Amish strikes. In the event of social collapse, Amish pacifism is probably what's going to do you in. An Amish society would survive an AI apocalypse without much trouble until the rogue armies and the gangs show up. If you get a good gang, you're safe. But if you get a terrible and bloodthirsty one, it's pretty much game over. This is because the Amish are extreme pacifists. They believe in a very strict interpretation of the hardest teaching in Christianity, turning the other cheek. Biblical scholars agree that the translation is accurate, but a lot of cultural context around turning the other cheek is lost. When Jesus said that if you get slapped on the right cheek, you should turn the other cheek, he didn't mean you should roll over and let yourself get rocked. He meant that you should point out an injustice without getting violent. And apparently, when I was researching for this video, turning the other cheek in Jesus' time literally meant daring the other guy to treat you like an equal instead of a slave. Now, even though this is less passive than the literal translation, you're still not supposed to turn violent, a teaching that many Christians have simply ignored over the centuries. The Amish take it extremely seriously, and they actually use a passive interpretation of turning the other cheek. In the Anabaptist doctrine of the Amish, violence is strictly forbidden, even in the case of self-defense. If somebody uses violence on you, you're supposed to just take it or run away. If you break the non-violence rule, you will get shunned. The entire community gives you the silent treatment until you repent. Anybody who fails to give you the silent treatment also gets the silent treatment. If you refuse to repent or break the rules again, they'll kick you out of the community for good. Now, if you're a regular, secular guy, this stance might seem a little bonkers, but from the Amish perspective, you're the bonkers one. Instinctively, a lot of people place their survival on the top of their value priority list. We want to live at all costs, so anything that guarantees our survival is justified. Now, while the Amish still value survival, they place a greater value on going to heaven than they do on survival. If survival threatens their ability to get into heaven, they will choose death. They believe that the world is sinful and temporary. For a secular person, the point of life is to keep breathing for as long as possible and enjoy every moment of that as much as you can. But for very religious people like the Amish, none of that matters. I mean, their number one goal, like every Christian I'd imagine, is to be with God, right? To make it to heaven with their loved ones as well. Living their life according to God on earth, giving them a ticket to the pearly gates. That's why the Amish live the way they live. They want to avoid sin as much as possible so they can go to heaven. They don't care about missing out on our fun, suffering, or even dying. They only care about going into heaven, hanging out with Jesus. So playing around with the idea of killing someone, even if it is for self-defense, they ain't gonna touch that. So that pacifism is the biggest con of being Amish in this scenario, but if you believe in their particular interpretation of Christianity as much as they do, it's not even a con. So, knowing all this, from a scale of 1 to 10, how good is an Amish town in the event of an AI apocalypse? 1 meaning useless, 5 meaning survivable in the medium term, 10 meaning survivable in the long term. I'll give an Amish town a solid 5 for most folks. It's survivable in the medium term, but once the gangs, rogue armies, and the refugees show up and start taking your stuff, oh no, it's a piece of cake. It's game over because you just can't fight back. If you can run away, the rating goes up to 7.5 because given your strong internal cohesion, you can easily reestablish your community elsewhere. And if you're a true believer, an Amish town gets a perfect 10 because nothing that happens in this world matters anyway. Even if you die, you're going straight to heaven. So is death really a bad thing or a blessing? But the true believers in Amish doctrine are never going to watch this video anyways. And if you are watching this, Jebediah, throw away that rectangle of sin before I tell you, Father.